All right, let's jump in. Today, we're looking at one of those incredible moments of faith, a story about a life that gets completely turned upside down by a divine interruption. We're going to explore what it really takes to embrace a plan you didn't see coming and how to find the courage to say yes to a future you can't control.
And this verse, this is really the heart of everything we're talking about today. It's from the Bible, Luke chapter 1, verse 38. In the face of a completely life-altering moment, a young woman named Mary gives this incredible response. It's just this powerful statement of faith that has echoed through the centuries, and it's exactly what we're going to unpack.
I mean, come on, you've been there, right? We've all been there. You've got a plan, you know where you're headed, and then, boom, in a single moment, everything changes. It can be so disorienting, maybe even a little scary. And that feeling right there is our way into Mary's story. So, let's talk about Mary. Her life was on a pretty clear track. She was a young woman, engaged to be married, respected in her town. Then, she gets a call from God that wasn't just unexpected, it was incredibly costly. We're talking about a call that would threaten her reputation, her future, and even her safety.
So, faced with this massive divine interruption, Mary is standing at a crossroads. She could choose fear, and who would blame her? Fear of judgment, fear of what people would say, fear of the total unknown. Or she could choose trust. And you know what? Her decision, right there in that single moment, to lean into trust, that's why this story is still so powerful today.
So, what's the first big lesson we can pull from this? It's that God's calling isn't always neat and tidy. In fact, a lot of the time, it's pretty confusing. It rarely shows up with a step-by-step instruction manual explaining how everything is going to work out.
And this is such a critical distinction to make. Mary didn't get it right away. She actually asked the angel, "How will this be?" But her question wasn't a rejection of the plan. It was this genuine, curious attempt to understand something that seemed impossible. See, it came from a place of wonder, not defiant doubt.
And this is exactly why her response matters so much for us. Faith isn't about having every single answer lined up. It's about trusting the one who does. God doesn't always give us the full blueprint. Instead, He invites us to trust His character, to believe that He is faithful, even when the path ahead looks totally illogical or uncertain.
Really, it all just boils down to this: making that choice to operate from a place of trust in God's goodness, instead of a place of fear about what you can't see. That's the whole foundation right there.
Okay, so if the first lesson is all about dealing with the confusion in our heads, the second lesson is about the posture of our hearts. It's about moving from questioning to yielding. It's all about surrender.
Yeah, let's go back to her exact words. "I am the Lord's servant." Just think for a second about what she was giving up. In that moment, she was literally placing her life, her reputation, her whole future into God's hands with zero guarantee of how it would all turn out. That, right there, is complete surrender.
And this is so crucial, because real obedience, it always flows from a surrendered heart. It's about letting go of our need to control the outcome. And it's in that place of submission, of saying your will, not mine, that God can work in the most powerful ways through us.
This is the key that unlocks absolutely everything else. Before you can do what God asks, you have to yield who you are to Him. That action of obedience flows directly out of the posture of surrender.
Okay, so we've talked about the what and the why of Mary's response. But how do we actually translate her story into our own lives right now? How do we start to cultivate this kind of willing heart for when we face our own interruptions? Well, this gives us a pretty fantastic roadmap. First, just be honest with God about your confusion, just like Mary was. Second, make a conscious choice to trust His power more than your own need to understand everything. Third, and this is a big one, actively offer your plans to Him. Hold them with open hands, not clenched fists. And finally, take that leap of faith and say yes, even when it feels really, really risky. So as we start to wrap this up, we've traced a really clear journey, haven't we? From a confusing call to an honest question, and finally to a surrendered yes. But you know, this isn't just Mary's story from the Bible. It's really an invitation for every single one of us to think about how we respond when our own plans get interrupted. Because ultimately, a willing heart isn't something we can just muscle up on our own. It's actually something we have to ask for. The source material for this whole discussion includes a prayer with a really simple but powerful request. Father, give me a willing and obedient heart.
And that right there is the ultimate takeaway. More than perfect understanding, more than having a flawless plan, it's a simple, willing heart that truly honors God. So the question for all of us is this: when your plans get interrupted, will you choose trust over fear?